One level living versus multiple level living. Pros and cons? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sharon Rosa, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. When you have a minute, please subscribe at the bottom of the page. In this week's video, I want to talk about one level living as opposed to buying a home that has multiple levels. And the reason I decided to do this video this week is because recently I've had several buyers come to me that are looking for one level living homes. And just in doing research, as I always do to try to stay on top of things, I asked myself, what are the pros and cons? Now, in some of the cases for these buyers I have, they're going to one level living because of health reasons or because they're getting older and don't want to go up and down steps. But there are some pros and cons to both. And last week I talked about, the buyers, what the market's going to look like, and the buyers that are out there. As a real estate agent, we're always trying to gather information about the market. And last week I talked about where the predictions are for 2023. We look at buyers and we look at sellers. And when I was looking at this one level living, of course, it makes sense that people looking for one level living, you're going to find the baby boomers moving to that because they're aging and perhaps don't want to or can't go up and down those steps. Gen X is also starting to enter that. So that demographic is very likely going to be looking at that if they're not moving to Florida. So at any rate, what are the pros and cons of a one level living home or multiple levels? So let's talk about one level living first. There are lots of reasons, but there are some biggies. First and foremost, a one level home is easy to maintain. You don't have to lug vacuum up and down the steps. You don't have to lug laundry up and down steps. And if you're looking at the exterior of the home, it's easy to maintain the exterior as well because most of the stuff you can reach by, a pretty small ladder. A second advantage or pro for one level living is it's easier if you're building the home. It's easier to design, and therefore it will be less costly if you are paying an architect to do those drawings. Another advantage is there are fewer accidents in a one-level home. You don't have to worry about, if you are living with an elderly parent, you don't have to worry about steps there. If you have a toddler or little kids, you don't have to worry about accidents there. And in our case, a dog that is insane about going up and down steps. I had to put carpet on the steps because he would not go up and down the wood steps. But it's easier for a lot of people or dogs to live on one level. In addition to that, if you ever have to, God forbid, evacuate, it's much easier to evacuate a one level home. And finally, one thing to consider, and when you are, let's say that you are a millennial and you are buying your home that you're going to be in for the next 20 years, 25 years as you raise your children, you're probably going to look at, multiple levels. But a nice thing about if you do have a ranch, as you age, you don't face that question of, can I still continue to live in this house because of the steps and so forth. So those are the pros. A couple of cons. One, if you want to build a home, even though the architectural designs will cost less, the building, or if you're renovating, will probably cost more because you have to figure your footprint, your foundation is probably going to be bigger than if you are building a multi-level home. Because if you want that square footage, you build it this way. And that's going to cost you more. HVAC systems, all that piping and everything that goes with that costs more. A second con is the privacy issue. One, people can see in from outside if everything's on one level, so your windows, you always have to keep them covered because bedrooms are on the main floor, bathrooms are on the main floor. And if you are entertaining, people are on the same level as your bedrooms. So if somebody needs to go to bed, or if you have an infant and you have people over, they're all on the same floor, so you don't have as much privacy. And the other security issue is, just as much as it is easier to see in the house that's one level, it's also easier to break in. Now, some of the pros and cons for multi-level living, and we're going to see, it's going to be the counter to the single level living, right? First thing, you have more privacy. Bedrooms, bathrooms on the second floor, more than likely, nobody's going to be seeing in there. In addition to that, if you are entertaining, your bedrooms are upstairs, and nobody goes upstairs. And if a baby's going to bed and you're entertaining, they're further away from that noise. You have a lower risk of being burglarized, just because somebody can break in, the first story or a one level living and access everything. It's probably easier for them to do that than to shimmy up whatever they would shimmy up to get to your second story. Another pro is there are more design options. Ranch homes, and it's funny, I have a client that is looking for a ranch home, but she wants something different. And it's very hard to find different designs with ranch homes. You have more options when you are dealing with multiple levels. In addition to that, some people love that balcony, the second story views, something that allows you a deck off of the second story or whatever. And so those views you're not going to have in one level living. Some of the cons, obviously, more accidents. You can fall down the steps, whether you're carrying laundry up and down those steps, whether you have socks on and have wood steps and fall down. I've done that. So you have more accidents, or the potential for more accidents when you're going up and down steps. A second con is it's probably going to be more costly to heat and cool because of the multiple levels. And finally, a third issue with two-story homes is you have the potential for having higher noise levels. If that home is not laid out well, and I had this, and it never occurred to me at the time, we had a two-story home, and there was a back staircase, and the big open kind of game room or family room or whatever was downstairs. It was a very open floor plan because of that. And if the kids were downstairs, or if somebody was watching TV downstairs, even in the master bedroom, which was all the way on the other end, that noise would just float up the back staircase and the front staircase, and you definitely heard that noise. So potentially on a two-story home, you could have a higher noise level, especially if you have the big foyers that are 2 stories, or if you have the 2-story game rooms with the overlook, to the game room from the upstairs bedrooms. All of that is very cool, but sound does carry. At the end of the day, one level home versus multiple level home, that's really a personal choice. And sometimes those feelings about your home can change. Regardless, I gave you some pros and cons for both, maybe something that you didn't think about or something to consider as you move forward in buying a home. That's it for this week. I'm Sharon Rosa. You can email me at sharonrosa@kw.com. I'm happy to help answer questions, help you find your next home. If you have a chance, please subscribe at the bottom of the page. I hope you have a wonderful week. It's been a little rainy here in Pittsburgh, but I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you here next Friday. Thanks.